Alrighty, welcome to 5D Transformations. I'm here, Guy Johnny, Coach Johnny, and just want to touch on something really quickly. And these are some signs to know that you're dating a narcissist right now. Whether you're courting a narcissist or dating a narcissist, this video is for the people that are out there in the dating field. Some of you may be in a relationship with a narcissist, so you're a little bit too late, but you might notice some of these signs that you missed. So, this is important because this is gonna, I want to help people really avoid being in these entanglements. So number one, when it comes to a narcissist, a number one sign that you're dealing with a narcissist, they talk themselves up big time. Not just in a way that's like sensual or in a way that's like, I'm a good provider, or, I'm a good lover, or, I have a good job, or just, it's one thing if someone says positive things about themselves, like, yeah, I work here, I do this, I actually did this type of things, whatever. That's what you call demonstrating higher value when we talk about attraction and things like that. For the people that follow my attraction channel, but for narcissism, it's a bit different because they're doing this all day and it's not a lot of balance. You're really getting a one-sided frame that basically paints this person as the all perfect, as if they're this perfect, amazing person. So I don't want to give people red flags that are going to make them, deny people that aren't narcissists, because there's people who could speak, highly of themselves that aren't narcissists. But the key way you'll know it's narcissist is that they're not as flexible, meaning they kind of see it one way. It's like, it's very much about them. Like the whole conversation, the whole narrative is about them. It's not a balance of, let me hear you talk a little bit, I talk a little bit, let me hear you talk. It's very much like, I'd say 70%, 80% them talking, telling stories. You'll hear a lot of storytelling of moments that make them look good. And that's fine if someone does that a couple times, 3-4 times in the conversation. Like, yeah, this reminds me. But when they're doing that all day and just feeding value back to themselves, and it's very imbalanced, like there's not a lot of care about you, then you know that. Because a lot of the time with a lot of people, they get intrigued by that. They sit back and they love that this person can storytell about themselves. They love that this person's so confident. It's a lot of positive qualities that people with narcissistic tendencies have, because they speak highly of themselves, they have confidence, they have belief in how they express and communicate themselves. So that's big. So you want to keep an eye on that, though, where most people would be like, oh, wow, he's so perfect, he's so this and that. You're kind of like, oh, let me not make sure they're a narcissist. Not where you're being negative and trying to bring somebody down or trying to mess up their dynamic, but just keep your eyes open for behaviors. All right, that's number one. Number two, if the person is very much like, when you go out with them, they are always having the environment point back to them. They're taking over the environment. They're kind of like being the star of the show more than you, they're naturally making an effort to have everything come back to them, and they're controlling stuff. So they might tell the waiter, like, hey, here's what we're going to do, and have this whole spiel with the waiter, and then have this whole spiel with this person. And it's like, all right, are we just dating to talk and relax, or are you making this whole thing about you? And you'll notice they're going to do things like that naturally for a lot of the overt narcissists, okay? And then another sign is going to be, they're going to have stories. And I want you guys to pay attention to this. They're going to show you a lot of their toxicity in their stories. So they might have stories of some really toxic things in past relationships. They'll tell you messed up things they did to people in the past. They'll tell you bad scenarios they got in the past, and they'll tell you things that, were really shady that's been done. And they'll really have no shame about it. So that's really big too. You want to really pay attention to the stories that they're telling and see if you notice any toxic behavior that they don't really feel bad about, And then another thing that's really big for a covert narcissist, if you hear them talk about their ex relationships and they're just trashing their ex, there's no balance or accountability at all. And it's just very much like they don't take accountability. They don't feel sorry about anything. Or when you're with them, they don't really see as though they're doing anything wrong. Like a lack of accountability, a lack of saying, yeah, I might have messed up at this point in my life. And it's something that, you know, that's really big. Especially when it comes to personal relationships. If they never really talk about personal relationships and mistakes they made and times they felt sorry, and or, you know, there's no balance of humanity there. It's just stories about me being all that, stories of me screwing this person over and it was funny, stories of me doing this with this person and that was fun. But there's no empathy or, you know, care there. You know, they'll implement a story here and there to give a little emotion, but you'll see it's very imbalanced. And you'll notice that. You'll be like, this person's really cool, but it's like, you know, they're kind of stuck in this box. Like there's not a lot of depth around it. They present to you what they want you to see. There's not much outside of that. And you'll notice that. And then finally, a really big thing to keep in mind for a narcissist is just going to be a lack of empathy. You know, like if you tell stories of things that might have been sad, or, you know, if you guys talk a lot, have been talking for some weeks, and this person's narrative is always revolving around them, they're complaining about people, but it's never nothing where they really feel empathy for anybody. You'll notice that they don't really express empathy. Even when they deal with you, it's not from an empathetic place. It's from like a, you know, like a high vibration, like, oh, you know, let's do this. But, you know, they're not really built to deal with a lot of deeper emotions. So if you want to screen for this, you want to ask them questions that will trigger emotions. Like, have you ever had a moment where, you know, you experienced something like loss, or, you know, have you ever had a moment where you was in a tough time? Or have you had a moment where, you know, you felt bad for something you've done and you wanted to make it up, you know? And generally, if you ask that to them, they'll generally be like, if I had to guess, you know, they'll be like, they'll either tell you maybe a moment like, yeah, but that's not really where their focus is. It's like, why are we talking about this? Like, I want to go back to talking about my grandiose stories about things I've done, you know? So you're going to notice just a theme of everything revolves around them. And the problem, I think, with most people that end up in these relationships is they're enamored by the character. But you have to look at the character now. And I want to really train the people that watch my channel to look out for people that come off too perfect. Not where you're like negative or you're trying to like, but just keeping your eye open. It's just a little awareness so that you can give them time to prove to you if they're that or not. And the narcissist will prove to you over time once they get comfortable that they are that, because they'll start exhibiting certain behaviors. And then the last thing I'm gonna say is complaining. You know, if they complain a lot about their exes, if they complain or really talk down on the people they've dealt with, if they're the type of people that's like, oh, you don't need friends. Oh, my friends ain't nothing, man. Oh man, you can't trust people. Oh man, you know, you do this for people and they don't come back. Whenever you deal with someone that always has negative stories about dealing with people and stories that are kind of like, oh yeah, that's a reflection of their experience. Because like in my personal experience, I've had great friendships. And of course, friends, you'll go through situations, but if their story will always be like, oh, everybody else is this and they all gave up on me and then you can't trust people. And they're telling you this narrative because they have a hard time with friends and they're projecting that onto you. So that's another thing. Look at their friendship circle. You know, look and see their relationships. Are they dolo for the most part and they have like one or two friends that are kind of on the same thing they're on? Or are they people that a lot of people like, and are they in tune with people? You know, you really want to tap into their feeling and their empathy. And that's the number one thing you want to look for. Look for the empathy in a person, just to know that it's there. Because as long as somebody has the capacity to have empathy, you're dealing with somebody that generally isn't going to have a lot of narcissistic tendencies. So don't go out there just looking for the perfect person. Most narcissists are going to have very good jobs, going to be successful. A lot of them aren't, but a lot of them really value money and material more than anything, in positions of status. So don't be just driven by the status, what they have, the car they drive, their job, their security, the way all the things that look good externally. I want you to tap into their character, and are they emotionally intelligent, and are they empathic, and are they able to like resonate with people beyond just from a place of telling stories and being this character? Are they able to sit with themselves, and can you be with the real person instead of the person they present? And I hope some of those tips helped. Leave in the comments if you dealt with the narcissist, some of the signs you noticed. For those of you who are dating somebody, if you have any questions, make sure to send them over at your5dtransformations@gmail.com. Make sure to join the Patreon. I got exclusive videos on there. I'm about to be uploading a lot of big videos as well this week. So Thanks so much for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe. And it's the one and only 5D Transformations. I'll see you all soon. Peace.